This is Shannen at Cascade Pet Camp.
And I'm Dr. Dana with Cascade Pet Camp. Today, we wanted to start by talking about what we feel are best practices associated with socializing your puppy. And some of this is going to be based on research, and some of it's based on us and our long years of puppy raising. So Shannen, what do you think is...
Well, first, I'd like you to go into your nerdy dog science about the definition of socialization and the age range of what it actually is.
Everyone loves my nerd moments. So I always get the acronym wrong, but the Behavior Veterinary College, so the veterinary specialists who dedicate their practice to working with behavior dogs, define socialization as a very sensitive age range in a puppy's life from about 3 weeks of age to about 16 weeks of age. And in that time frame, the amount of effort that we can put in for a return is very small. So we can put in a small amount of effort and get a really large return. Now, the important thing to remember in that is that it could be positive effort or it could be a negative experience. And so it's a very delicate dance to make sure that you're exposing your puppy in that window to positive things or challenges at levels that the puppies can face. And so obviously much of that time is either with a breeder or a rescue organization. If you're getting your puppy somewhere between 8 and 12 weeks of age, you have, 4 to 8 weeks to work in this time frame where you can put in just a little bit of work and get a big return. After that, so after about 4 months of age, we can expose our dogs and we can change their emotional state when they look at things, but it's not technically socialization. It's conditioned emotional response training or exposure training or those kinds of things.
Thank you. I've heard it so many times from her and it gets better every time. I wanted to talk about expectations for pet owners, dog owners, and what actually will help them in the future. And of course, having this boarding facility, we do a little bit of group play and doggy daycare. It's not huge groups of dogs going out. It's very small groups, very well paired, and appropriately matched dogs.
Regardless of age.
And they don't play all day long. Because that's not mentally healthy for them. But I've thought this for years, and in the last 3 years, this is a hill I will die on, and I know there's lots of other trainers who also agree with this. If you allow your puppies socialization, or what people think is socialization, and playtime and recreation and a physical and mental outlet to only be playing with other dogs and other puppies, your training is going to be so much harder as the months go on, because they are getting their dopamine hit, huge reward, and focus on just other dogs. And the 3 biggest challenges that pet owners come when they come to take private lessons and they're frustrated with their teenage dog, which again is anything 7 months to about 20, 22 months, that adolescent dog, is that they've allowed the dog to play with other puppies and have play dates and run up to every dog or person that they get to see. And everybody says hi. That is a huge reward for a dog, just to run to the end of the leash with no boundaries and say hi to everybody. Yep, it's cute when they're happy and you're so happy that your dog likes everybody. But what you end up with is a dog that is not focused on the handler. You end up with a dog that is overstimulated and over threshold and super excited to see every dog in person that walks down the street. And the challenges that people are bringing to us and most trainers is their dog has no recall because they're distracted all the time. Their dog cannot walk on a leash and pulls them, and their dog jumps on everybody.
Yep.
And then those 3 things can be so curbed and dealt with so easily if your dog is not allowed to just go up and play off leash or on leash and say hi to everybody and every dog.
Well, and what you're training, I think people don't realize that every interaction with the dog is training the dog by most people's definition. So what we think about in the training world is what is reinforced gets done over and over again. So what you're saying is that it's self-reinforcing for the dog to run up to other dogs and play. So they see another dog and they're biology says, yay, I felt really good last time I did that. So I'm going to do it again. So you are training your dog by allowing them to run around and socialize in dog parks or in informal areas where dogs are off leash. And it's not always the training that you want. The other piece of that is that it is analogous to most adult humans that are probably 30 or over, maybe 40 or over, have some innate response at this point to the ice cream truck sound. We know what that sound is. I don't care how old you are. You know what that sound is. And
I grew up in the backwoods of Maine. We didn't have any ice cream trucks.
But you watched videos and movies. So you know what that is. And there's some level of like nostalgia or joy or something that happens when you hear that. Or the reverse of that is you hear your alarm clock in the morning and maybe there's less joy. So we know these things from a human perspective, that the emotional response to a setup can be long lasting, even if it hasn't happened for years. If I tell you, if I hear the ice cream truck noise now, I'm going to like kind of get a little happy, even if I don't get an ice cream. So it is one of those things that it can be very hard to untrain. And so instead of that, what are some of the things that you do to help make sure that your dogs...
I also wanted to add before we go into that is that the same is true. Those puppies are impressionable. And if they have a bad experience, meaning an adult dog bites them or goes after them or even just scares them, that is also long lasting.
Yeah, definitely.
Fighting against that training is more difficult for owners for sure in both respects. I actually don't let my puppies say hi to everybody. I want them to focus on me. I want to take them out in public. I want them to experience sounds and noises and smells and see other things and get rewarded from me. And it's easy down the road to have a nice, stable, confident dog have experiences and meet other dogs and maybe play with dogs that are your friends' dogs or dogs that you can set up a play date in a controlled environment after they've worked a little bit and done some stuff for you and then have some playtime. But generally my puppies don't get to be molested by everybody, humans and dogs.
Yeah. And I think what we underestimate is how novel our world can be to a puppy. Sure. Even puppies that are quote unquote raised impeccably. So full disclosure, Shannen and I have both brought litters of puppies into this world. We find that really rewarding and enriching. And we love doing all the things that help set puppies up for a stable life. And even those puppies, that continues not only for that first sensitive period, but for the rest of the dog's life. And so things like seeing men and women of all shapes and sizes and all races and colors of clothing and hats and sunglasses. And we're coming into fall here in the Pacific Northwest. And so puffy jackets are coming out and stocking caps are coming out. Everyone laughed at me because I said toque for my Canadian friends. People with beards, people with long hair and short hair. It is amazing what dogs think of as novel. And so you don't actually have to work that hard to get them new experiences. What we want puppies really under 6 months of age to start to realize is that new things don't mean scary. And that is the underlying thing we're trying to teach puppies when we talk about socialization or exposing them to things, is that new means, oh, that could be interesting. I could get a treat from my human for that. And that could be out in the woods, branch rustles. It makes a weird noise for a puppy. It could be going into a dog store. It could be seeing another dog. So here's my next question for you, Shannen. Is that only because you have dogs that sometimes are perceived as scary dogs?
Absolutely not. If I ever raised a retriever, I would handle it the exact same way. I think having them have boundaries and learning to be still in their own bodies is really valuable for all dogs. And, it's not popular in group class when we say it is not your dog's fault or it's not your puppy's fault that they're dragging you around on the leash. As your person or as their person, you're not communicating well to them and they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be dragged around by any kind of dog, any size dog on a leash. I want them to be my partner and I want them to be focused. And more importantly, I want to be able to take them places. I want to be able to have my dog be a go-along dog and behave appropriately.
Yeah.
Most dogs need to live in our human world. And whether you agree with that or not, there's very few places where dogs actually just have dog jobs. And so being unemployed, their job is to be our companion.
Yeah.
And I want the best for those puppies. And I want owners to be excited to have a well-behaved dog because that enriches that dog's life.
Yeah.
They get to go more places. They get to do more things. They don't get
Totally.
left at home because they have bad behaviors. And that is my goal for any of our people seeking classes and seeking help and to have your dog reach its potential.
Awesome. I think that is a great way to leave it. So if you need help with any of this or we can answer more questions, feel free to reach out to us at Cascade Pet Camp. Website's cascadepetcamp.com or find us on social.